Hello and welcome back to the Radio Gamescast. As always, I'm your host Ryan, and I'm joined by my lovely duo of co-hosts, Alex and Wyatt.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Aloha. All right, well, we have a lot of conferences to talk about, or directs, or
many
whatever you want to call
games.
them, that have
Got a
happened
lot of
from
shit.
Summer Game Fest.
Lot of shit to go through.
We'll be showing some footage on screen, courtesy of GamesRecap.io, an excellent site that's been keeping track of all the announcements and whatnot in a lovely order that you can all look at. So if anyone wants to go through and find all the stuff that we're not talking about, because there's a lot of shows, we're going to miss some of them. Day of the Devs and the Wholesome Direct I have in here because I watched pieces of them, but we can't cover everything. There's a lot of games to talk about, so we're going to blaze through a lot of these. If we're skipping over a game, don't take that as a we don't like it. Take that as a we just don't. None of us are immediately grabbed to talk about it in this episode just because of the time crunch that we're going to be under.
Or we just don't have too much to say.
Yeah, or we don't have a lot to say, or it's really early, like CG trailers and whatnot is that kind of thing. So lots of stuff that we're going to talk about, but a bunch of things to get through. So let's go ahead and jump in. We're following the order of the state of play, and we're just going to keep going through Summer Game Fest, Day of the Devs, Wholesome Direct, and the Xbox Showcase. Then we might pick out some other stuff too if people have games that were from other shows that they saw one or two trailers for and wanted to check out. We'll go through all of that. So first off, State of Play was the first big event of this like week of crazy games events. Our kickoff to this was Lumine's Arise, which had Wyatt and I super confused. At the start of the show trying to watch it, but it's by the Tetris Effect people.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say. I don't remember this. Oh, Tetris Effect. Now that rings a bell.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, we were
I guess
throwing out all
it's
sorts of predictions, and we were all wrong.
it's a flashier Tetris game.
it's not
They don't need
Tetris.
them
It's,
flashy.
Lumines is a separate franchise that I believe, at least the one I'm most familiar with, was on the PSP. Legitimately very good puzzle games that are a little bit more action puzzle, so same way as Tetris, where things are time crunch based. But Tetris Effect I really enjoyed. I don't know if anyone else here has played Tetris Effect.
No, I've seen gameplay for it, but I haven't played it myself.
Yeah, it's very interesting. You would think it's sensory overload, but it somehow manages to not quite get there. So I'm actually kind of interested in this. I think Tetris Effect is really good, so I'm excited to see what this actually looks like. And for references to how like sensory overload this looks like from this starter trailer.
It is not.
The thing is, I can't
need.
tell. This is like a minute of just walking. I don't know if all of that is part of the game. I'm gonna think no. I think this is what the actual game is going to look like when we get to it. When this is a lot more readable than the other massive just blob of VFX that this is. So, yeah, I'm going to assume this is what the game looks like. Okay. After that, we saw a game that I think none of us were quite ready to see again, which is Pragmata.
I was so
It's
convinced
been
that-
so long.
I was so convinced that this was this generation's version of Deep Down, a game that was announced at the launch or before the launch of the PS4, and then just never came out. And Capcom game.
Yep.
I just thought it was never going to come out.
Yeah, no, I was with you on that one. I am glad it is because I love me a sci-fi action game, and Pragmata looks really good from just how smooth this all is. So I would hope that this game comes out and is really fun, but we'll see.
It's kind of a mix of like very industrial sci-fi with very kind of angular kind of
Yeah.
stuff going on. It's very funky. I wonder what the structure for this is, because we're just kind of seeing smaller.
You know what? It kind of
Combat
bizarrely
arena?
reminds me of is a mix between BioShock 2 and Enslaved Odyssey to the West.
Oh, okay. I wasn't quite
That's
sure.
what
where
I'm
you were going with
thinking.
That, but no. I okay.
Yeah, you're
Not
with me on that one?
visually.
Interesting.
Not visually.
Not
but
at all
like
visually, but like
premise-wise.
the setup, and you have a partner character who's with you the whole time.
Because I was gonna
That's
say,
kind of what I'm
like,
envisioning.
visually kind of reminds me of like Vanquish or something like that.
Totally. Yeah, for sure. Okay, Romeo's a Dead Man, I do want to chat about for a second, because this came out of nowhere. I don't think anyone had any idea this was coming. It's an insane game that, of course, really cool trailer art style.
Yeah,
It's a little hard to
wild
look
mix of
at.
Styles, art styles.
Yeah, multiple styles. Going into an action hack and slash. This is Suda51. He's heavily involved with this. Who's behind a lot of No More Heroes and stuff like that.
That's what I mean.
Who I'm fairly certain is an insane man.
Yeah,
And I mean
is
that
known
in
for
an
making
endearing
games
way.
that are absolutely insane in a way that only very specific devs can get away with.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm known to occasionally enjoy a Suda51 game, so I'm interested in this, and the sense of style is really cool. So I'm going to be fascinated to see if this actually functions. That tends to be the concern with Suda games. Okay. Moving on, we got some more footage of Silent Hill F. This game's looking pretty wild.
Is this completely new, or is this like a graphical update to
This is new.
a Silent Hill?
This is a new game. Yeah.
I couldn't shake the feeling. I'm just like, before the title was revealed, I'm just like, is this a new Fatal Frame?
I see why you would think that, because Fatal Frame is also Japanese horror, and Silent Hill usually isn't like strictly Japanese themed, but this one's very much going into like yokai territory. I'm pretty into this. I think it looks really cool. The aesthetic's really fun. This trailer was as crazy as I'd expect a horror game trailer to be,
Gruesome.
with excellent monster designs.
J horror for having the most fucking out there, but also
They're so
genuinely creepy monster designs. They're always so good.
Yeah, legitimately very excited for this.
Yeah.
I think it's just we won't know. Konami's been hit or miss in the last couple of years, so
It is weird that we're
Looks
getting
interesting.
more
Also
Konami
looks
games
too
now.
scary for me to play.
Like it seems like they're genuinely getting back into like production.
they like
again.
left dev for a little while and they're coming back in.
It's weird. It's weird.
We saw the first trailer for the next Bloodstained game, which has me very excited.
Yeah, dude.
I
do
like the
love a
look of this
good-
game a lot from what they've shown.
Yeah. I do love a good Igavania, and if it's anything like
Yes.
the first, if it's anything like the first, we're in for a good time.
It's also Bloodstained got like exponentially better the further in you got. It was a little rough at the start, so I'm hoping they've kind of rounded out the edge of Bloodstained so it plays better immediately. But like this graphical style is really, really cool.
We'll say, a little weird. The pre-rendered cutscenes that they have do not match the art style of the actual.
Cutting
game
like back to
at all.
this.
And it's really weird, and I hope that's not indicative of the cutscenes in the game.
Yeah,
I'd
that
have
to this is a
assume
big
not.
jump compared to the art style. Otherwise, I thought this was a really fun trailer, and I'm looking forward to playing this
It's probably
game.
going to be a good time. I have no reason to think it isn't going to be a good time, because the man is nothing if not consistent.
All right, Digimon Story Time Stranger. This is a game that's on my soapbox because I played a ton of Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth on my PS Vita, and that game is excellent, especially for the time. It was one of the best like Pokemon competitors that you could get, but was also a fully fledged JRPG in its own right with a bunch of other stuff going on. The big things is they had like so much more detailed animations for combat than Pokemon did at the time. So I really loved the first set
Also
of games.
excited to get into more of a detective-based story.
Yeah, that's kind of the pitch of them, is they're sort of detective-y. I'm really excited. Yeah.
For me, it's tough because like this must be a me thing, but like anytime I think of Digimon, I just think of it as like, oh, a Pokemon ripoff. And granted, I don't know much about Digimon at all, but that's all that like whatever gameplay or whatever I've ever seen, that's just
Man, people are gonna get in the comments for you over Digimon, Wyatt.
I know. Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing.
Boy.
I don't care enough about the franchise where it's like if someone were to have a genuine conversation with me to change my mind, I'm completely open to that. I'm indifferent either way.
What if I instead of a genuine conversation, I could just change your mind with one phrase? Can we give that a go?
Let's do it.
Digimon are the champions.
Yeah, he is right about that.
Okay, let's
Digital
get
monsters.
Someone else? Anyone else want to help?
But yeah, I love this trailer too. I think they show a lot of insane stuff of like cutting to what I assume is the digital world, and all these like stylized cuts and whatnot.
Yeah.
And then back to.
I really hope that.
Oh, go ahead, Alex.
Sorry. I really hope that those like staticky fuzzy 2D cuts that we get are part of like maybe an attack animation or a super or something like that.
They could be. Digimon
that'd
does
be
kind of have
great.
like special attacks that you can do, and then yeah, the quote maybe real world that they show like this. I don't know. Looks really cool. Very excited to play that. It's coming out this year, which is great.
Hell yeah.
All right, another game that I'm very excited for, as I think everyone should be if you're a fan of strategy or tactics games. Final Fantasy Tactics Ivalice Chronicles. This is a re-release of the original plus a remake remaster combination thing that is the story of War of the Lions, I believe. And I'm very excited for this because there's a couple of hints in places that say that they've made adjustments to the script and added full English voice acting and whatnot for the remaster version, which is really exciting. I think it's going to make it way easier to play these games for people that have never played them before, but this is a really, really good tactics franchise.
I've always wanted to try this. I feel like I'd
It's much more my speed than Fire Emblem is, even though I like Fire Emblem. I think it's got a little bit more going on in terms of the character building, and not as much of the social stuff being like in the way of playing the game as Fire Emblem can have, even though I like both. But yeah, I love the look of this collection. All right, Baby Steps.
It's a game.
I don't know what to say about Baby Steps. I think we all know what Baby Steps is. Wacky physics-based walking game.
It looks like a rage, like a streamer bait game.
Yeah, I was
And
getting
listen,
that
I'm
vibe
not gonna
too.
say I don't want to use that in a derogatory term because those games definitely have their place. It's just not a place where I tend to play games. So-
Can't wait to see Markiplier absolutely peak his mic while playing it.
Yeah, this will be really fun to watch people play, I assume, rather than
Oh,
playing it
sure,
myself.
sure.
All right. Moving on to Hirogami, which came out of nowhere
Okay.
and looks amazing.
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this, and I don't think I'm gonna get any pushback. Of all the things, I'm just gonna say of the show, as in everything that we've seen, this is my art style of choice for the show. Everything. Like I think this is gorgeous.
Yeah, it is great.
I love
Oh,
like
he
this.
even
origami
gets
look.
the changed frame rate animation where it looks.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't notice that
I
before.
love these character designs.
Like the
really good use
transforming
of,
into a paper plane is so good.
yeah, the use of color, I really love. They're using a lot of like shallow depth of field to imply that everything's really small. They're just nailing it in terms of making it feel very small and very like
Yeah.
tactile. It looks beautiful, and it looks like a really really cool kind of action platformer, puzzle platformer type deal.
Yeah, no, I think this looks amazing. Really looking forward to playing it. And it's Bandai Singapore, which is always fun to see stuff from Bandai, because they tend to do a lot of really fun games. Everybody's Golf Hot Shots. This is a golf game. I think this is in particular a remake or a remaster of the original Hot Shots Golf. I assume. I don't know for certain. I'm not an expert on this franchise, but I do know the one that was on PS4 is regarded as one of the best golf games if you're into golf games. So I assume,
Really?
yeah, I assume they're good.
Okay.
I think they're not at all based in reality, from my understanding. So it's not quite like a PGA Tour or something. But it seems like people had a lot of fun with this.
I forgot about that guy's little victory dance.
Little
That
victory
was
dance
adorable.
move.
You know,
Great.
the only thing that I think could make this better, make it mini.
Yeah.
I mean,
I forgot there was
if
Pac-Man in
Pac-Man's
here
on
too.
your
Oh,
Pac-Man's
yeah.
on your team, I feel like that makes it mini. That gives it some flair.
Yep. Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, Ninja Gaiden 2D game,
Yes.
looks good. I don't think there's a ton to say about it because we've seen it already in a bunch of shows, and I think we've all been very vocally positive about this game. So
Good
I'm
art
very
style,
excited
good
to see
character
it.
design. Probably going to end up being a rage game for me.
Yeah, I'd
Probably.
assume it's gonna be hard, but this does look. I love the pixel art for this game. I think they did such a good job of capturing a really unique style.
It's so pretty.
I'm
Oh
not
my
expecting
God.
like original NES Ninja Gaiden level hard.
Yeah, it almost
but-
reminds me of the 16-bit Messenger sections.
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, which looks really cool. Yeah, looking forward to that one. Cairn, which I know Alex is on your list.
Hell
Climbing
yeah.
games. Very excited for more climbing
Yes.
games.
Love them. This is like if Jusant wanted has its edgy teen phase.
Yeah, had it out for you and doesn't want you to succeed.
Yeah, it also looks a lot more Not brutally hard, but just brutal.
Yeah,
In
things you got
general.
to think about.
Is that other people in the game besides your little
Yeah,
morph buddy who grows plants? There's other people.
I
And you
really like
have
that you can
to
find travelers and whatnot.
oh, and you have to bandage up your blisters.
Yep, shots of you bandaging blisters. I like the camping stuff.
Oh, yep, that's coming up right here. Oh
Yeah,
God.
the
Oh,
bandages. Um,
oh boy.
I'm really excited for what this game comes out. Like, I really like Jusant, and I think this is a really unique niche of stuff that I'm excited to play.
Love me some climbing games. Yeah.
I do hope it's not a roguelike. I don't think they've said it is, but for some reason,
Really? What?
for some reason, my mind goes roguelike with games like this. Whenever I see like survival mechanics in a game that isn't a survival game, I get a little concerned. I don't think this is. I don't think at any
there's a
point that has
demo.
ever been said.
There
Is a demo
out
that I
now,
should play.
so we can answer that question.
I've downloaded it along with
All right.
the jump ship demo.
Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection. This is just a cool collection of the classic Mortal Kombat games. The reason this is kind of notable is a lot of the Mortal Kombat games were really weirdly censored on most of the home releases. So finding a playable version of these that is actually good is legitimately kind of hard. So this is a good collection if you ever want to play those original Mortal Kombat games, which are legitimately very good fighters. Good way to play them.
So I'm wondering, do we get anything besides the games? Like there was like that little interview thing. Are we gonna get? That'd be fun, like developer interviews or.
They've done stuff like this before, where they've had some like manuals and whatnot you could look at in these collections. I don't know if this one's doing anything. I don't think they said in this trailer. I'd assume there's some little bonuses or like concept art at least, but yeah.
Plus, things like that are just good for game preservation. You know, if we can get older games like that in such a big collection on modern hardware, especially modern hardware that's going to be like compatible with other modern hardware in the future.
Yes,
that's just a good thing.
That would be great. Metal Gear Solid Delta, Snake Eater. This is currently my most anticipated thing coming out, just because I'm such a huge fan of specifically Metal Gear Solid 3. And playing this version of it, I think it's going to be super fun. All the new and like redesigned enemies and whatnot look really, really cool. The art style is excellent. I love that they kept all the weird kind of eccentricity in the game.
I am 100% anticipating there's going to be some new wacky Psycho Mantis stuff going on, and I'm so excited to find out what it is.
Yeah, I don't know, because this game didn't have a ton of that. And the one thing they do have is kind of a spoiler, so I don't want to mention it. But I'd assume that is still in the game. There's a lot of really cool stuff that I'm seeing through these. Yeah, I think this looks excellent. All the set pieces look like they're intact and good to play. So I really hope this comes out and is very solid. It's kept to the Ape Escape crossover, which is insane to me.
Hilarious.
Really funny, and it's out pretty soon, which I'm very excited about. All right. If you're going to Neo 3, Neo's a franchise that I've played a ton of. I don't think anyone else here has really played a lot of them.
Nope.
It's been on my radar for so long.
You might be into them now, Alex, with your Souls-like kick from Liza P. These are really fun. Souls-like is a kind of a loaded term to use with them because they're way more like a Devil May Cry or a Ninja Gaiden. In a lot of ways, they just have the combat mechanics that kind of are similar to Souls-like, where you're often having to dodge and manage your ki, similar to like stamina and Dark Souls. But you have a lot more methods to like. One of the big things about Neo is you can ki pulse, which lets you get your ki back mid-combo and just keep going forever. And some of the weapons have like defensive things that happen when you do that. So you can like parry by using a ki pulse, which refills your stamina and lets you keep attacking and all that kind of stuff. It's just really fun. All the weapons in Neo are really, really cool to use and have really detailed combos and movesets and whatnot. Which makes them really different from Dark Souls, because these are way more actiony. You have like full button combos. The gimmick with 3 looks like it's shifting between your regular stuff and a shinobi form, which is kind of cool, and might get some more stealth parkour action, as well as open levels, because the other Neos are level-based, not open. And this is, I think, still levels, but it seems like they're much more openly designed.
Open zone type thing?
Yeah, that's what I would guess. I think they literally said, like, open concept.
Yeah, there you go.
In the trailer. But yeah, I think this looks great. Very excited to play Neo 3. I'm glad the franchise didn't die, because I think a lot of people have been worried because Team Ninja's been doing so much other stuff that they might be not going back to Neo, but I'm very excited they are.
Hell yeah.
All right. Next was a weird hardware reveal, which is the Project Defiant wireless fight stick from Sony. This is a weird one because it's like it was really grand, and they revealed this before the thing that we know this was meant to be paired with. Like, this is obviously because of all these fighting games that they're showing off. But the biggest one is yet to come when they showed this off, and it's also probably, I don't know, fight sticks are kind of out of fashion right now for the most part, so I'm surprised they're going for a full PlayStation published fight stick. As much as I like them, I think most new fighting game players default to a pad or a hitbox, which is like the keys instead of the joystick.
I get the button layout, like the arrangement.
Yeah.
The symbols on them make it more confusing to me.
It's going to be interesting with this one because in a normal fighting game, you don't even have symbols on them at all because you just use them as the arcade layout, which would have punches and kicks in certain places. So you wouldn't even refer to them as the regular buttons. But yeah, we'll see how they handle that. We saw Thief VR, which
very cool.
Looks very
Wish
cool.
I could play it, but I can't.
PSVR 2 is actually a pretty competent VR system. I've played a lot of stuff that I really liked with it, so this seems like a good time. This just makes me want a normal Thief game, though.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but that's where I go, is I really want a Thief game that is flat screen as well. All right. Tides of Tomorrow.
Yes, another
this
very
one's
cool art
super
style,
wacky.
fun aesthetic.
Yeah.
This is by the devs of Road 96, which I personally love. I think the game's excellent. But this one's like a multiplayer thing, maybe?
Do we think? I was gonna say, do we think that it's simulated multiplayer, or if it's a thing sort of like with Death Stranding, with people helping?
I think it's a mix of both. Would be my
think
guess.
When I looked it up, I could be wrong. I think when I looked it up, what I read was it's a single player game, but a lot of the choices that other people make in the story or in a particular mission affects your mission
affects your game.
Affects your story, which is interesting. But
that makes me feel like it's going to be a you had to be there game for a lot of the experiences before it gets.
Well, I wonder if it's sort of like a social strand system.
I also wonder if it's really meant to be. Like, this trailer, I think, kind of made it out to look more mass multiplayer than it probably is. Because at least on the Steam page, they advertise particularly doing things with your friends or, like, following your friends' stories. So I would guess it's more tuned to, like, a small group of people or streamer stories or whatnot. So, like, a streamer's community can follow what their choices are and then play in, like, the same world state or something. Yeah, I don't know. This looks really interesting. I like the art style a lot. I always love water-centric games because I think water mechanics and like sailing are always super fun. When they're done right, that's probably just me having grown up on Wind Waker.
Oh my god! And it shows all the different and it shows so many of the different islands with the vast.
Yeah, they have like
aesthetics.
A great aesthetic.
It's getting me excited
to all of these. Yeah. I want to know what's going on with the people with like scales going through. I think this looks really fun. I do just want to know, like,
what the actual
that was, like, what that multiplayer thing actually is. Is it just a ghost that I can follow?
I kind of interpret it as like you're seeing someone else's choice. I
wonder if like what this is like you're picking between different versions of a thing as you can go through and see like what they did.
There's just a lot of questions.
Then my question is like, what does your playthrough look like? Like, are you making? But there has to be an original person, right? Like, you can't just. I don't know. I'm fascinated by what this is going to be. I don't think we have a ton of info as to what this actually looks like. Not even a date or a year. So,
I will say in that way, it wasn't a great reveal. In some ways, because it's like I just don't really.
I was more confused than I was going.
Yeah.
I just have a lot of faith in that studio.
Like unlike a Death Stranding trailer or something, I don't think that was the point.
Yeah.
I don't know. Hard to say.
We did see a little bit of Astrobot stuff. It was just 5 more levels. I believe they're adding for free, which is very cool.
Yeah.
Love that they're supporting that game. It's super fun platformer. Sea of Remnants. This was a wacky one. This is the
another
pirate,
really cool art style.
like wooden doll aesthetic pirate adventure RPG thing. This is made by a studio that hasn't done much before, except things that I think were free to play. Oh no, it's published by. It's a new studio, but it's published by NetEase. Yeah, it's really interesting because it advertises a bunch of stuff that makes me a little worried that it could be a gacha because it's like Bond with 300 companions and whatnot, which concerns me. But it could just be that this is a really cool pirate game that is a regular price game and not a free gacha thing. Because this looks really fun.
God, I hope so.
I love the art style. I love the look of all the combat sequences they showed.
Oh yeah.
There are bits where there's these ship battles going on. There's all this underwater stuff is really cool. That looks like a boss fight of some kind, which seems great.
There's damage numbers, which implies some sort of RPG progression.
It's confirmed that this is an RPG thing, and that it's primarily single player. But then there's this whole bit.
Because I feel like the term RPG has gotten incredibly broad over the last 10 years.
See,
so
I'm solely going off of this one shot where they show the damage numbers that I have to assume this is a turn-based JRPG because that's the only way in which that made sense to me in that shot. But there was the whole bit with stealth assassinating a dude over here, so I don't know.
Oh, maybe it's one of the things where you can do the Persona thing. Or wait, no, is that a Persona thing where you can sort of stealth start?
That's a lot of JRPGs allow that. Persona has a really cool system.
That looks like almost real time.
It's
combat, maybe.
It's a confusing.
Yeah, the ship
mix,
combat looks real time.
I never pictured pirate themed things as turn-based JRPG, but there's a first time for everything.
I'm super open to it.
I mean, I can see that working.
Yeah, I can see it working really well. I just think this trailer is pretty unclear as to what the game looks like, and what degree of multiplayer it is. So I want to see more from this.
As I've always said, when you're revealing your game, you get one of these. You only get one, where you don't really show off any gameplay, but you want to sell the aesthetic, you want to sell the premise or the vibe or whatever.
Yeah.
After that, we need details, we need gameplay. You don't get to keep doing that.
This next one is one that I immediately put on my list.
Yeah, Sword of the Sea looks amazing. It's by the people that brought us Abzu, which I loved. It has the Journey look, which is great.
I really hope, because I loved the Pathless until I had to do the boss fights, and then the game lost a lot of credit from me. I don't think it's a bad game.
This seems way less combat focused than Pathless was. They're not really showing anything that looks like fighting.
Yeah.
Which I think is probably a good thing. I also thought it was kind of the weakest part of Pathless. Though I did enjoy the rest of the game. I think I'm up for the more Journey or Abzu style adventure more so than a combat heavy thing.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
But yeah, I just love the look of this game. I think it's got such a gorgeous look. I still go back to
Sable from time to time.
Yeah, Sable's a good example of that type of thing. Let's see. And yeah, this all looks really fun. Skating on a sword, great look. Very excited.
Immaculate vibe. Please continue.
007 First Light. This is our big also kind of reveal of what First Light looks like. And bizarrely, I think compared to what nobody was guessing, this is a kind of origin story for James Bond. Yeah. IOI said he's 26 at the start of the game, I believe, and this is his first. This is how he gets his classification, basically.
His license to kill, probably.
Yeah.
I really enjoy how they. I don't know if they couldn't or just didn't get the likeness rights for any one of the James Bond people. I love how he feels like a mix between Daniel Craig and Pierce Brosnan.
Yeah, he fits the look.
007's.
Well, also, I like that it's not based off of one of the actors because James Bond is known for going through actors over the years, and I feel like if IOI wanted their own, like,
It's someone who
take.
feels like a James Bond already just from looking
Yeah.
at them.
Oh, yeah, well,
Totally.
and if it's someone that they wanted their own take on the character, you would go with your own design versus like, "Oh, we're gonna make him look like Daniel Craig," or something like that.
Hmm. I also really like the art style they chose for this, where it's mostly realistic, but has that slight bit of stylization to it,
Mhm.
which I think just comes off looking really good.
It'll age a
Um,
lot better.
yeah, it'll age really well. I'm fascinated by how story focused this seems to be compared to Hitman. It seems like
I'm
this has a
very
much
happy about that.
yeah, it seems like this has a much more driving story, which reminds me of the older Hitman games and not the newer one. It's very interesting to me.
Yeah. Again, I mean, I wanna see gameplay at some point. These little snippets I feel like aren't quite sufficient. I wanna see, like, unbroken, 15-minute demo or whatever. Um,
Especially
but
because
I
James Bond, the thing with me with James Bond compared to Hitman and Agent 47 is Agent 47, Hitman is a hitman, right? You're going through and you're trying to be as stealthy as possible. With
Mhm.
James Bond, I don't think that's the goal. I think there being some big bombastic action sequences is probably very necessary
I think there's gonna
compared
be a mix
to
of stealth
It
and
caters to that
yeah,
action.
you
play
have to do
style where
both,
it's
right?
stealth until something goes wrong.
Whereas Hitman is
Yeah.
almost purely stealth. This is going
Plus,
to be
I'll
a
keep saying
mix.
this. I'll keep saying this. I don't know whose decision it was to have IOI make a Bond game, but that is
Good
such a
decision.
Perfect.
perfect
So
choice. I
good.
like genuinely, if you were to ask me who should make a James Bond game, I was like, oh yeah, the Hitman devs. Perfect.
Yeah, it's a perfect fit. I'm super excited for this one. I think it looks really cool.
Yeah,
So
same.
when it comes out, definitely be playing it. We saw a little bit more Ghost of Yotei, but really not much. It seems like this was kind of the
Was there? I
lead-in
don't
of a
think there was any
cutscene.
gameplay. Was there?
I don't really
No,
understand. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm super excited for this. I don't
Oh,
know why this
absolutely.
was here. I
this
don't know
trailer
why
was
they
weird.
bothered. I
Because it's
don't know
like a
why they
minute of
bothered.
just waiting for this wolf to show up, and then
There's
just kind of
nothing
being
new
there.
here. There's nothing that we it's to announce that there's like gonna be a
The new thing is
gameplay deep
this.
dive.
This is a deep dive next month. Um,
I don't know why it needed a whole
I guess
trailer
just to
for it,
remind us
to
that
be
it's
honest.
coming. 'Cause, yeah, I
Which is
Yeah, as if
weird
we
because I
needed a
absolutely
don't feel
playing
like the
reminder.
this.
reveal
But
was that long ago.
As if we needed a reminder.
all right,
You know,
and that
unlike
jumps
Todd
us
reminding people that they're still working on Elder Scrolls 6.
into the thing that I'm super excited for, which is Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls, which came out of absolutely nowhere. This has not been rumored. This hasn't been guessed. This is when I saw the Arc System Works thing and then a Captain America shield, I lost my mind a little bit because it's
I was there. I was
truly
Iron
there.
so
Man with a
insane to me.
Ryan
Gundam
Ryan
style
had a
suit
moment. He
is
had a
ticking
moment.
Iron
several
Man in
boxes
a
for me.
Super Sentai suit with a Gundam V fin is everything I ever have wanted.
I never knew
And-
that had a name. VFin. That makes so much sense though.
yeah. Um, this looks incredible. I think the art style is absolutely amazing. The fact that they really went out there with the designs is so good to me because I think they really could have fallen into the territory of just doing the same set of designs that are really popular with Marvel right now. But this feels like they really knocked it out of the park with all of them. The Captain America and the Iron Man designs are in particular are really, really strong to me because they're like, you can see that they
We've
took
been-
really heavy inspiration from the regular looks and then just went in a super different
We have
direction.
been getting so many like cool costume variations, whether it's from the that weird like Overwatch-esque Marvel fighting game, from oh my god,
Marvel
what's the
Rivals?
new one? No, well, Marvel Rivals is another one, but there was another. Was there another one that I was
I
thinking
don't
of?
think there is, Alex.
Okay.
I
just
think you're
making
thinking
shit
of
up
Marvel
again.
Rivals.
Okay.
If it's Marvel and Overwatchy, that's Marvel Rivals. Um, but yeah, I love these designs. I think these are really, really fun. So very much looking forward to this. I imagine the roster's got to be way bigger than they showed here because it's a 4v4 tag fighter, which is I think the most tag fighter team size that I've seen in a game, which is super cool. Yeah, very excited for this. But I want to know that roster. And I have to imagine the Fantastic Four have to be there, right? Doom is. So I got to be able to have my Fantastic Four to fight Doctor Doom, right?
Yeah.
But I'm also just curious how much single player stuff it's going to have because I would love for that to have a beefy single player.
That'd be fun. I might
I
check
can
it out.
hope so, but I'm not anticipating.
All right. I don't know. ArcSys tends to have a pretty good single player offering. Although Guilty Gear was wild, and the single player is a straight up movie, and a pretty good
That
one.
was what, 4 hours long?
Oh, yeah, longer. So
Oh, God.
cool. I don't know that that's what they're gonna do with Marvel Tokon, but maybe. Moving on from the state of play, what's overall thoughts? Good state of play? Everyone happy with what they saw from the Sony show?
Solid. I don't think there's any earth-shattering. I guess maybe Marvel token for
Marvel
Ryan, but
Tokon
there's
for
nothing.
fighting game fans, particularly, is big, but
Yeah.
there's
Oh,
nothing
yeah.
that's like the closest to an insane for everyone thing is maybe Romeo's a Dead Man, just due to how crazy it is.
I
Or
mean, there's a
Neo
lot of
3,
like,
but
and I don't say that like there isn't a lot of stuff to look forward to. Like speaking personally, really looking forward to Pragmata, Bloodstained, Hirogami, that sort of thing. But like
yeah.
nothing that really like got me out of my seat in excitement. But like all stuff that I'm very excited for.
Yeah, and part of that too, I think, is just like Ghost of Yotei has been announced for a while, so we're kind of excited for that already. It's probably going to be a while before we see anything else God of War related. We already know what Insomniac is doing. We know what.
I was
Things
kind of
have some
surprised.
leaks, unfortunately.
I was kind of surprised not to see anything Wolverine related here. They're probably going to save it for the Game Awards, would be my assumption, or even anything like Intergalactic or anything like that. But I am happy that it seems like it's slightly less like PlayStation Studios focused, and they're focusing on other stuff, which I think is important for them to do.
Totally. All right. Moving on to Summer Game Fest proper. This is the Jeff Keighley show that kind of ties this whole event together. They started out with Mortal Shell 2, which I think looks dramatically better than the first game. Even though I like the first game, I think they really refined the look here.
I need to get through Mortal Shell.
Yeah, I think this is a fascinating one.
Before your Souls-like rebirth, right, Alex?
I think that was just around the cusp, because that was...
I think it was right after we
right
started
before
Lies of
P,
P
or...
for Games Pass. We had like done them at the same time. Yeah, this looks really fun. I think Mortal Shell is a really interesting Souls-like that has its rough spots, but also has some really cool ideas. And I'm excited to see that they got a second game.
Hairless worm on the string looks like.
Yeah, it's fascinating. The design sensibilities kind of remind me of heavy metal album covers, and that's always good.
Oh yeah!
So
that is one hell of a design choice, and it's so fun to see it realized.
Yeah, I like the look of it quite a lot.
Moving
on, there was a Fortnite Star Wars thing.
We don't even need to click.
Yeah, we don't.
I don't give
talk about it.
Shits.
There's a Death Stranding 2 thing that was entirely to reveal this new character that is going to be basically filling the role that Mads Mikkelsen's character filled in Death Stranding 1, which is like that character that you have an odd relationship with over the course of the game, and these flashbacks and whatnot. So interesting. Great actors they picked, but at the same time, this tells us nothing, and I don't know what to expect until I play the game.
It's a Death Stranding trailer. I don't know what else we
it isn't, but he looks.
I also can't
like
believe he's just named Neil.
Protagonist.
He kind of does, yeah. I know what I'm talking about. Him just being named Neil, the weirdest thing they could have done.
My name is Neil.
Yeah, I'm excited for Death Stranding 2. It's right around the corner, so pumped to play that. This trailer felt kind of unnecessary because of that. After that, we saw Chronicles Medieval, which I think looks really fun.
This
it's
is
like
a third person, but also like a real time strategy combo. Or am I thinking of something else?
Yeah, this is that.
Okay,
they showed this like shot of you riding up along your troops,
like Bannerlord.
Yeah, this is kind of like Mountain Blade.
Or Mountain Blade. Was it Mountain Blade what I was thinking of?
Mountain Blade
Bannerlord is a Mountain Blade game. Yeah, that's the second one.
That's the one we played for Game Pass. Yeah.
Yeah. Looks fascinating. I think I really want to see like in-action gameplay of this, but I love the like look of the trailer. And I really like that they have a colorful color palette, despite it being medieval, because I think a lot of medieval stuff just tends to go for the gray and not the actual like painted armor that tended to be popular with medieval stuff, which I think is really fun.
Yeah.
Okay, Sonic Racing Crossworlds. Man, this game's gonna have an uphill battle. right after Mario Kart World coming out.
Well, it's funny. I've seen a sentiment online of people being like, "Yo, this so showed Mario Kart World. Like, it's gonna be cheaper, haha." And it's like, guys,
That's what a weird
Interesting.
thing to.
you know.
I'll probably play this because I like kart racers. It was what I would have said before they showed the thing that I'm about to show, which is they showed a wild Minecraft crossover.
What the? Oh yeah, with there he is. There's Steve.
This looks so crazy to me that I think I have to play it. In addition to them, if I can find the spot in the trailer where they showed, Hatsune Miku and Ichiban from Yakuza showing up, and I really didn't know what to do with that information.
Oh, Joker!
And Joker, what in the Fortnite is going on?
It's great. I love kart racers are a good genre for crossover stuff. So, moving on, Code Vein 2 doesn't look like Code Vein 1 at all. We talked about the art style for this looking a little odd.
Yeah, you've got mostly like a
oh my god,
I don't want to say photoreal, but very realistic art style. And then you got these faces that look, it just feels so clashing with everything else around it.
Yeah, the level of detail in the face compared to everything else is really funny. I do think this looks really cool aesthetically. I love the like gold look over everything.
Whenever there is a topologically anime head with realistic lighting on it, it is so strange.
Yeah, this whole like open heart thing is fascinating.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Here's the actual gameplay bits they showed.
It looks fine in gameplay. I hope there is not an entire area that is almost untextured, like there was in Code Vein.
Yeah, they've had a few years for this one. The first Code Vein was pretty fun, so I'm excited to see where this one goes. And the design sensibility, kind of, not as like punishing as most Souls games, but sort of like it was often said called anime Souls like when it first came out because there weren't a ton of Souls like there are now. But we saw End of Abyss, which we didn't see a ton of, but this top-down like horror thing looks really cool.
It's almost like Twin Stick from a certain
the art style reminds me kind of Inside, which is a really cool game. So I'm fascinated by this one. We don't know much about it as of right now. It seems like a survival
I'm into it though.
Thing.
Oh,
very fun monster designs.
Yeah, it looks disgusting, awful. Love it
in the best way.
Big bulky suits, wonderful. Oh,
it reminds me of the fucking
Rat King
from Last of Us 2. Yeah, it's disgusting.
It looks like he's fighting the thing from inside in multiple shots there.
Yeah,
you know, that's what we're saying. We saw Mouse PI for Hire. This is a game we've known about for a little while. That's the sort of old style animation boomer shooter. Yeah, looks very fun. Moving on, we saw a Game of Thrones strategy game. This didn't have any gameplay and was basically just a long CG trailer for this, but I do think there's a lot of potential for this. I think like a Game of Thrones strategy thing.
Have we gotten a Game of Thrones strategy game before? I feel like
there's a board game that's excellent.
Make me forget the last few seasons of the show.
That's what we're hoping.
Well, the whole point is that a lot of the choices you make will like change the story for the show.
Well, because it's a strategy thing. Because what this showed is that like Jon Snow losing to the White Walkers and be joining them functionally, which is fascinating. I really like this like concept image. So we'll see how they actually pull this off because we don't have any gameplay yet. It looked interesting. Atomic Heart 2. Man,
do we
I think we
really
have
to touch on this one?
I'll say we were a little uncomfortable watching the trailer for the thing that came after this.
Yeah.
This trailer was largely fine, but
I don't really have too much to say. I know that there's some criticism directed at it's like
I do think the aesthetic looks more nailed down in this one.
I do, and even in the first one, there were some really cool like robot designs that I thought were neat. I didn't play too much of the first one. I couldn't fucking stand the open world stuff, but I think they kind of continue that cool kind of like clockwork robo aesthetic here. I'm probably not gonna play it just because the first one really left a bad taste in my mouth.
Oh
Yeah,
God.
but
Yeah,
yeah,
because of
and then
that.
it
Well,
gets, you know,
It got really
I
weird.
this
That's Atomic Heart
genuinely
2.
feels like with the marketing of the first one, they really leaned into like the twin robots, which is like the only thing that people were talking about because it was like semi-gooner bait, and it feels like they just went like so
Specifically in this
hard in that
trailer,
direction.
which I'm going to kind of speed through. This is an MMO, apparently. Which, yeah, every shot was just this. The trailer, which is
It's just
very,
so uncomfortable. There's
very
something
funny,
very
but a
like
little uncomfortable.
I didn't ever think this was a word I was going to use on this show, but this trailer feels so like grossly voyeuristic in a way that would just made me so uncomfortable while I was watching it.
Yeah. Like, I'm sure this game will
Creepy.
probably be fun, like Atomic Heart was fun, but this is a very strange trailer. That's basically my thoughts. Moving on to Marvel Cosmic Invasion, which I know Wyatt and I are very excited for.
oh yeah,
Abso-fucking-lutely.
the She-Hulk and Rocket reveal.
Yep.
Abso-fucking-lutely. This game
Oh,
looks sick. My only problem with tribute games trailers, right? They have good pixel art for all their games. I'm never going to say that. However, anytime they have like 2D animation for their trailers, I just wish that was the aesthetic because it's the 2D art like animation that they use for their trailers is so pretty. And I feel like, at least to me, it kind of outshines the pixel art that they have, but it's always really well done pixel art. So I never,
Hmm.
I don't want to see like I'm down on it at all, but they're so pretty,
Yeah, totally.
Um,
Very excited for
but
it, either
it
way.
looks sick. Looks like a great Switch game, to be honest.
Yep.
I feel like that's the platform that I'd get it for.
We saw a little bit
oh,
of Onimusha Way of the Sword. This is the Onimusha, I believe, coming next year. Um, Looks very good. There wasn't really any new information here. After that, we saw Felt That, which is incredible.
Fox.
This
Uh,
looks so cool. I said this while we were watching this, Ryan. This genuinely felt like a bit out of like an episode of Community.
Yep.
That's what this was like, the vibe this was
Oh,
giving me.
Punch Out Felt episode of Community is great. I'm
Yeah.
legitimately like, this is such a wacky game concept and aesthetic that I'm really excited to see what this actually plays
They,
like.
at least in this trailer, have fucking nailed the look of like Jim Henson style puppets and
Yes.
the movement. They absolutely nailed it. It looks so good.
Because it seems like the whole game is like this FMV style stuff.
oh
So
God.
this is so crazy to me. I think it looks amazing. It's just such a funky style that I'm really excited for. All right, Killer Inn. This was the it's one of the wacky ones. This is the wacky, like, PvP lamb and wolf hunting game thing.
Oh yeah.
Where you're like spies trying to kill each other and whatnot. Looked interesting. I'm open to trying it. Historically,
It's like they took a game of Clue and then added
yes.
guns.
Historically, these games tend to not do amazingly, so I hope it does well, because I think this one looks better than a lot of the ones that we've seen before. Yeah. Arc Raiders. It's Arc Raiders.
Oh.
This was largely a CG trailer.
I've been hearing good things about Arc Raiders. I don't give a shit about extraction shooters, so I'm probably not going to play it, but Embark does good work, as we've seen with the finals, so I'm sure they'll have an interesting twist. But I
Yeah.
don't.
I'll probably try it out, but I don't imagine I'll stick with it, just because extraction shooters are really far out of my normal playing habits. Dune Awakening. This is kind of an unnecessary trailer, because this game is out as of the show happening, so you can play it right now. I have been playing it. I think it's pretty good. I do think it will need a lot of work as it goes through early access to be fully featured and whatnot, but I think it started out in a much better position than I thought it would. And it feels way more Dune-y than I was thinking it would too. I enjoyed
I've been hearing
playing
good
the bit of it, the bit of this that I did. And I'll probably let it sit for a while until it's further along before I play more, but I did really enjoy that opening hour. And the sandworms are great. The way that they've used those, I think, is really, really clever, and they've kind of built them into the map design, which is really fun.
That's cool.
Chrono Odyssey, this is another one of the games that I thought looked really interesting, but I still don't know much about it. I think this is one that kind of hit us all out of nowhere. But yeah, I think it looks very cool. I love
Honestly,
the
barely
aesthetic.
remember this one.
I think it was just right in the middle of a bunch of things, and it's also, it kind of blends together with like Code Vein and a bunch of other stuff that we've seen. But
It's a
It
growing
has
thing
a
that I've
very
been.
similar art style feel.
It's a growing thing that I've been feeling where it's like a lot of these Souls-like have a very, not that they all look exactly the same, but they all have a very similar vibe that tends to like blur together for me after a while. And maybe that's just because I don't really follow Souls-likes as much, but they all start to kind of blend together after a while.
yeah, I totally get that. I do think this is, so this one, the weird part of this is it's built as an MMORPG, which you can, I think, only really tell at the bits where they show like the party gathering, like at the end here. I don't know what that means. The art style looks cool. I always get a little concerned when new MMOs, especially ones that might be free, are shown, because it's been a kind of a list of rough things recently. Yeah, not always. I think it doesn't always work out super well. So we'll see if Chrono Odyssey lands. We saw some Wuthering Wave stuff. That game's been out for ages. I don't think we need to look at it. Mio Memories in Orbit was a really fun looking platformer, like puzzle game that I love the look of. I think this is another one of those games that, this is like, Wyatt and I were talking about the shows this year, and we're just mentioning that like all the art styles look so impressive, and this is no exception.
And I'm glad that large scale like shows, E3 style shows like this are willing to show off smaller independent games.
Yeah.
Not just that, but ones with fucking sick art styles.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it looks very fun.
Speaking of sick
Out
art
of
styles,
Words was another one. That is a like stop motion 2-player co-op game, which you can tell Wyatt and I are probably going to jump into once we're done with our Split Fiction playthrough. And it's out.
Absolutely.
It's not going to be out before then, but very excited to get to this at some point, because I think this, like, the
look at that
gameplay
little guy.
sequences look so fun. Yeah, the whole
Almost
aesthetic is
reminds
just
me-
amazing.
I guess because it's stop motion, but just a lot of the weirdness kind of reminds me of like Leica or
Mhm.
Aardman animation, that kind of thing, which are all good things you want to invoke.
I get a lot of
When you're
Kubo
making
in the two
stop
strings
motion.
from this.
Which is Leica, yeah. That,
Yeah,
good
which is a
job.
huge compliment. So, we
I'm
saw
really
Mafia.
happy to see
go ahead, Alex.
more stop motion and claymation
Absolutely.
visualized games after, because I was worried after Harold Halibut kind of falling by the wayside that it wasn't going to be as big of a thing.
Yeah, I think it's still absolutely going really well. Mafia Old Country, it's Mafia. This trailer was another one that looks very good. I think the story for this looks great. What I really want to see is more gameplay.
Yeah,
for
we
Old
haven't
Country.
seen a lot of that. I feel like we've seen a lot of this game, but not a lot of gameplay, which is not always a great sign.
Yeah. Lego Voyagers, another game for Wyatt and I to add to the co-op list.
Absolutely.
God.
This looks
This
super
looks
cute.
so
Look at that
cute.
lighting. Wow.
So cute.
This is gonna be like a perfect Switch game to play some local co-op. Whip out your Joy-Cons. I think this absolutely looks great. Love the look of this.
Yeah, they nailed the like texture of like a Lego piece. You know, like there's just like, I know it's just plastic, but there's something about it that feels so,
The sheen of the
yeah,
plastic.
the sheen. I almost want to say like iconic or something. Like you just know a Lego piece when you see one.
Yep.
This
They
looks
nailed it.
adorable.
Yeah, I love the idea of you're just a single brick and you can kind of like build things. It seems very fun. All right, moving on. Nicktoons and the Dice of Destiny. I don't really know what this is much. I think it's like a action co-op thing, but we're not super sure.
Which could be fun. You have a bunch of Nicktoons characters in it. That could be fun.
Yeah, it certainly could be fun. I think I need a little bit more to go off of for this one.
Yeah.
But I'm interested. I grew up on Nicktoons, so we'll see when it is further along. We got the shadow drop of the Lies of P trailer, or the Lies of P DLC.
Hell yeah.
Alex, I know you've been playing it. Having fun?
Oh yeah.
Looks great.
There's
Very
some
excited to get to it.
very fun story stuff that is happening.
Very fun. Oh, there's the bow weapon we were talking about earlier. Looks very cool.
Yeah.
And claws.
Notably, the bow weapon being used to absolutely decimate an
Wait, was that a
infested
gun sword?
kangaroo.
Oh, hell yeah, there's a gun,
There's a
sword,
gun sword.
too.
There's claws.
Sweet.
It's just jumped up Ryan's list.
Yeah, that just... anything with a weapon that you click a button and it explodes bumps up my list. Looks very cool.
He's a simple man.
Yeah. After that, we saw Fractured Blooms, which is a really interesting looking game that is like a horror cozy game, maybe? I don't think it's going to be that cozy after looking...
If such a thing exists.
They're taking inventory of the freezer and probably finding a body.
I'm assuming it's some sort of transition from cozy game
Oh, got
to
a little fruit ninja going on.
psychological horror game.
Yeah,
is
I
what
mean,
I'm
when your objective is plant corruption,
Oh.
you know, probably not going to be that great. This is by Serenity Forge, who publishes a bunch of games that I really like.
Wait. Wait. That's the style of character. We have the anime style character again with the photorealism.
Yeah.
Alex is
Kinda
having
weird.
a conniption.
Yeah, it's a little weird. I think
I will say Serenity Forge is not like they are a very small publisher / developer. So I would definitely keep that in mind when thinking about this, but they are responsible for publishing Slay the Princess, which was one of my top games of last year. And they're also responsible for a bunch of other really cool... They published Doki Doki Literature Club Plus. So they're involved in a lot of big publisher stuff.
I'm assuming, given the way this game is going, her design is meant to clash with the environment, if I had to guess. But the game's not out. No clue.
Yeah, I think that's there to draw attention to the whatever's going on. We saw Blade and Soul, Neo, and Heroes. I don't think either of those are of interest to us, as well as Crystal of Atlan getting a One Punch Man crossover. Basically a bunch of stuff that we're just not the target audience for.
7 Deadly Sins
Were these gacha games?
Look,
those were?
Blade and Soul is an MMO that isn't very good anymore. The original one was good, but then NCSoft kind of messed with it up. Blade and Soul Heroes is a new game, and then Crystal of Atlan is a gacha thing. 7 Deadly Sins Origin. Alex, you sounded sad about this one, but I actually think this game looks pretty good. I know nothing about 7 Deadly Sins. I haven't watched it aside from one episode, which I thought was fine, but not enough to really grab me.
I wasn't the fan of the show. It took on the typical sort of shonen things that I'm tired of.
Yeah, I think it is a typical shonen. That probably is why. But for a game setup, shonen anime tends to work really well. So I think this could be good. And the open world here that they show off in a few of these scenes, I think looks really, really fun. You have these fishing and cooking scenes and these huge open spaces, and very cool looking boss fights. So I think there's a chance this is really good. Netmarble's published some really fun stuff, so I hope it is good. Moving on, Jurassic World Evolution 3. I don't know. I'm not the audience for this.
Okay.
I think there's a dedicated fan base for these Tycoon Jurassic Park games. It's not me.
No.
I don't think it's Wyatt or Alex either.
Mina
the Hollower.
On the other hand,
super excited. This is very much up all three of our alley, I think.
Absolutely.
This is from the Shovel Knight devs. This is their next big project, which is a Zelda and Castlevania inspired combination.
Oh,
I think this is a little
mouse.
They've been working on this for a while. This was announced a couple years ago, right? Something like that?
This was announced about 2 years ago, I want to say. They did a Kickstarter for it. I think it looks really good. Very excited to play it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Also, I just
was
noticed
that you riding on an enemy's nose?
I think it was you riding on Pinocchio's nose. I don't know why.
That lies of P.
It seemed very cool. Yeah, I love this like retro look that they've given it. I think they do a really good job at incorporating that into a thing that doesn't that it looks
Monotone
retro but
pixel
also looks
characters
really
for the
good.
win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the idea
Weapon
of
variety
mixing
and stuff super fun.
Castlevania and mixing Castlevania and Zelda, I think, is a really great idea.
Yep. We saw Deadpool VR.
Nope.
Looks fine.
And it joking.
Doesn't surprise me
about
that the trailer is age
Silksong.
restricted.
The Silk Song reference was funny.
See,
That was
the
kinda
Silksong
funny.
reference was funny, except for the fact that there hasn't been a Silksong mentioned in any of the shows. So I don't know
Yeah.
what to think. I feel taunted now. I feel betrayed. Now,
That's how you're
yeah,
supposed
Deadpool
to
VR
feel.
looked interesting enough, but it's a VR Deadpool game, so I think we kind of know what we're expecting. Moving on to Dying Light the Beast, this is the new Dying Light game.
Oh.
I'm pretty interested in this. I liked 2,
Yeah.
but I think this is like more of a tight, focused version of Dying Light, it seems. Because it's telling a really specific story of Kyle Crane, who's the protagonist from the first game, after all the events of the first game and the DLC. So I think that's fascinating. I'm really excited to see where they take this.
They're kind of frustrating as a developer because I feel like so many times they're this close to greatness and then they just fall short. Like, their
Big thing
games
for
are
me is
always
Dying Light
fun.
2 really felt like that, and I'm hoping this gave them enough time to kind of refine Dying Light 2 into the Beast and have it feel really good.
Because they always feel just like, oh, you're
they were really
so
close.
You're almost there.
Yeah.
What makes them fall short for you guys?
Story, sometimes execution of like open world stuff. Sometimes I remember the loot in 2 not being super
Yeah.
interesting. They had this concept of like, depending on what factions you, because there's a couple of choices you can make. Depending on the choices you make and what factions you align with, can really change the open world in was supposed to be significant ways, but I feel like it was not nearly as significant as they had wanted it to be. Like it's always like all the pieces are there.
Little stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I hope the Beast seems like it's not trying as many crazy things as Dying Light 2, and it's instead pretty focused, which I think will help with that.
Which I think is the right call for them. Something like simple and focused and allows them to really like wrangle their ideas together, I think.
All right. Moving on to Mixtape. This is a game I'm pretty interested in. I think this is just basically teenagers that are having some trouble in their right before they graduate. They're having like one last ride, essentially. And I think this looks fun. Reminds me a lot of like the original Life is Strange and the sort of vibes that game was going for, if not the actual gameplay style. So I think it looks really good.
It's hinting at something a little bit darker going on.
It keeps hinting at things where it's like, oh, before you're out of school forever. And I'm like, okay, is there like a apocalypse coming or something? But I think this looks really interesting. I'm excited to see what this actually plays like, and the soundtrack is completely stacked. So,
yeah, dude, that's crazy. Come on.
Oh my god.
Yeah, really crazy that it's that stacked. I'm excited to play this, and it's coming pretty soon, I think. I think the demo is out. Or maybe we don't have an actual date, but I believe the demo is coming.
It is like, if you're gonna call your game Mixtape, you gotta have a fucking...
You gotta have the mixtape, and it looks like they do.
You gotta... Yeah. They deliver.
Yeah. Toa and the Guardians of the Sacred Tree. This looks neat. It's like a roguelike action game that's all themed around Toa and Guardians. I don't know. Looks fun. We don't have a ton to go off of for this yet, so I just think the aesthetic is really cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can find the gameplay bit. Again, I love the look of the environments here. All right. Moving on to Acts of Blood. I will definitely be interested in this when it comes out because I love Sifu, and this looks kind of like Sifu, even though it's not at all the same team.
Huh.
Yeah, did you not see this game out? This looks great.
No, I didn't. I didn't see most of the stuff from the Summer Games Fest.
It kind of reminds
I've not
me
seen Keeley or his kicks of recent.
And I brought this up to you last time, Ryan. What's that game that we played on Game Pass?
Midnight Fight Express.
Midnight Fight Express. Yeah. Kind of gives me, because like you can pick up weapons and like guns and that kind of thing. But more like scrappy.
Yeah, for sure. And this definitely seems like more along the lines of like an
like it has
action movie.
This looks
Yeah.
like it has the tempo of Sifu, which I'm really excited about.
Yes. I imagine it won't be as difficult as Sifu is, but it seems really fun.
God, I
This
hope
was
not.
sick.
But
This
also,
was
ooh,
sick.
that was satisfying.
Oh my god, I'm so excited, dude. I'm so excited. It's oh.
You want to tell us what the
I
game
don't
is, Wyatt?
even. No,
Oh,
wait,
there we
no. You
go.
don't
Okay,
deserve it.
well,
No, no,
we
no.
saw that
So
character.
this is a Scott Pilgrim beat 'em up, and it's
Made by
developed by
Tribute.
Tribute. Yep, who makes all the good modern beat 'em ups. And I'm excited to play this because I know a lot of people really like the Scott Pilgrim beat 'em up that had a re-release a few years ago. I was excited to try it because I hadn't played it before, and I didn't really like it that much. um, I like Tribute because they make beat 'em ups, but they have a more they don't have such a classic sensibility where it gets a little obnoxious and feels very clunky deliberately. So I'm excited to play something that feels a bit that's less in that vein. And Brian Lee O'Malley is involved, and a lot of people from the movie were involved, which is always cool to see. They said the story was written by him, so I'm curious as to how like story heavy this is gonna be. Um, this looks rad.
Yeah. I can't say any of it better. Very excited for that. We saw an update on the First Descendant. It's the First Descendant. I don't think any of us are playing that right now. Moving on.
Don't give a shit.
We saw an update on Scum, and this trailer made me actively want to play that game less I would say, than I ever did before.
There's
Oh,
a lot
what-
of people
what's up with
pissing
Scum?
and shitting and middle finger.
What?
It's just
Oh.
just you probably can't even watch it.
Yeah,
It's probably
for
age
sure
restricted
this
on
is an
YouTube.
age-restricted
Watch this,
trailer.
watch.
Wow, it's not.
What?
What?
Oh, this is the censored trailer.
Oh my
Oh
god.
yeah, they need a green band trailer.
Here, to give you an example. Yeah, there it is.
Oh my god.
That's the vibe of Scum.
Trying way too hard.
Moving on to Mind's Eye. This is another wacky trailer because Mind's Eye comes out in 2 days.
Oh.
Yeah.
This game is out in 2 days, and we've seen almost no gameplay, and that's really concerning to me. But this trailer looks really good. Like, I think they're nailing the look of the cinematics.
That's all they're really showing.
But like, I need to see what the game
Well, 'cause
what
it's
the
an
game
open
do.
world like shooter, right?
Yeah, but they kind of only cut to these little bits and don't actually let it breathe for a second.
Also, I think this has a former GTA dev as like as
Yes.
like one of the prominent developers.
It
I
also
think,
has one of the
right?
really cool things that they did show a fair bit of gameplay of is there's a build mode on PC that you can do that's like a full-on mission mode that you can make and share all sorts of like crazy tactical stealth combat missions, which I think is really cool.
Always happy to see stuff like that.
I imagine that'll
Some
give
really good stuff.
it a good amount of longevity on PC, at least where that is present, because I don't think it is present in console, at least at launch. But yeah, I'm passingly curious in this game, but not super confident in it, I would say. Hitman got a show off because World of Assassination's out. It's on Switch 2 now. They spent a lot of time on the Le Chiffre trailer here with Mads Mikkelsen, which I think is really cool. This is actually, we talked about crossovers earlier, there's so many now that it's easy to lose track of what's going on and kind of lose the aesthetic.
Sick of them, especially ones that are like,
Yeah.
"Oh, isn't it funny that Nicki Minaj is running around in Call of Duty?" But this one actually makes sense.
Yeah, this is like a
This
perfectly
one-
sensible one. And I've heard the mission's fun. I'll probably have to try it out before it goes away. So I think this will be a good time and a good tease for 007, but
I will
other than
say
that, it's just
they
more
spent,
Hitman
like-
content.
They spent like 20 minutes on the show floor talking about it during the show.
Way too long.
Really weird.
Way too long spent on talking about that game. Lego Party. This is Lego Mario Party, basically.
Another Lego game. Oh, yeah.
I think this will probably be pretty fun. I think if anything's going to take a swing at Mario Party, Lego's probably a good brand to do it. I think it's good, kid-friendly,
You can get real crazy with it, I feel like.
recognizable. You can be real wacky. This will probably be a lot of fun and could be a good stream night if it has remote play together on PC. Be a good time.
Yeah.
Wildgate. We've seen a good amount of this game. The open beta has been up, or the closed beta has been up a couple of times, and people have had really good impressions of it. So I'm excited to try this out because I think their open beta's next week.
I want to try this. Everything about this screams something I'd be into. I love the sci-fi look of everything. It looks really polished. I love the shipboarding, all this stuff. One little problem. One little problem. There's other players, and I am getting sick of kind of PvEVP
Well,
stuff.
this isn't PvEVP
I-
to my knowledge. This is a PvP match-based game.
Oh,
It's not like
even still,
I am
don't-
way more excited for this knowing that it's match-based, because that means it's actually designed around what they're doing and not
Okay.
the weird PvPvE like Sea of Thieves thing that it just tends to aggravate me. Whereas this one, I know I'm going in and I'm fighting other teams of players. Like, that's the point of it.
Help. Which does help, I
Um,
suppose.
Yeah, I think that'll make it way more fun.
Everything that I've
Um,
seen mentioned PvEVP. That's that from what I've read, but that's just me. Anyway, doesn't matter. I'm probably just gonna stick to jump ship, to be perfectly honest with you.
I'm gonna drag you with me to try it at least, because Wildgate, from what I've seen, looks really fun. So I'm very into it, but we'll see. And I'm usually not a PvPvE game person at all, but all right, moving on. Blighted. This is a sort of Hades-inspired roguelite, it seems.
Mhm.
Looks cool.
Made by the Guacamelee guys, right?
Yes, Guacamelee, and what was their other thing? Nobody saves the world, which is very cool, like action
Yeah,
RPG.
yeah.
I've had
Looks
fun with both of
gorgeous.
their other games. This looks really fun. I hope it plays dramatically differently from Hades, but otherwise, yeah, I think this looks cool. So, moving on. We saw Ill, which I think the trailer. Wow, I'm surprised it shows. This is
That's
one of the
crazy.
more like crazy trailers we saw. This is one of those games where like
jeez.
this has kind of hit my limit of gore
Yeah.
in terms of a game I think I
that's-
can play.
Oh, Alex,
Um,
it gets worse. It gets so much worse.
I will probably enjoy watching someone else play a little bit of this, but I don't know if I could stomach playing it myself. Which is
Yeah, it has its whole thing is very realistic, like bullet impacts on those
Oh,
zombie-looking
God.
things, and so like
Oh,
bits are
Jesus.
coming off.
like I
Oh,
love
yeah.
these monster designs and
the
whatnot, but
muddy
I do
horde.
think I would legitimately just be
Yeah.
uncomfortable playing this.
How is this not censored?
I don't know, man. Moving on, Mecha Break got a showcase. I liked what I played in Mecha Break's beta. I still want to know what the game is actually going to look like when it comes out, because it's supposed to be like PvE raid battles is in addition to all the PvP stuff. So I'm wondering what that's going to be. Yeah, I had fun with this, but at this point they've shown way more trailers than they have actual game, and I kind of just want the game in my hands. I think that's kind of where I'm at with Mecha Break. Infinitesimals, kind of grounded style thing with a cool like
Sci-fi.
tech aesthetic.
Yeah, it's interesting. Do we know what this is? Like, is
I
this
think
like
it's
an
a survival
open
game.
world survival game? Oh, okay.
That's interesting.
It's an interesting look.
Let me check myself on saying that before I fully commit to.
What is this?
I like the look of it. Yeah, I don't know. They don't have a Steam page up, so I'm interested enough. I always like the "you're small now" thing. I think just Chibi Robo from when I was a kid made that always a thing that I'm going to be into. That said, I'm more excited for Grounded. Okay. Moving on to Street Fighter, we got this was a bizarre trailer. As much as I like Kenny
yeah.
Omega, this was kind of weird.
Huh.
Because they didn't just
Is
say
there?
it was the Street Fighter characters until you start guessing partway through, and then they finally go, "Oh, it's the Street Fighter Year 3 characters." I do love that shot. This is really funny to me. But yeah, they treated this with a lot of gravitas. That I don't know. The DLC fighter announcement didn't have that much weight to me. But cool fighters. I like the roster. Moving on, last flag. This is a capture the flag PvP thing. Looks interesting. I don't know if
I don't
this
know.
grabbed me.
I've realized over the last few years, maybe I'm just getting old. My bandwidth for multiplayer shooters or hero shooters or whatever is
I
slowly
think Wyatt and I have to
shrinking.
accept we're no longer the target audience for these games, and that's okay.
There was a time in my life where I probably would have been all over this. I think that time is behind me, unfortunately.
Yeah. All right.
Cool aesthetic.
I
I
like
don't
the
know.
look. I like the like camping in the woods vibe. All right, Wu Chang Fallen Feathers. This is just a second trailer that we've seen at a big show for Wu Chang. This one showed a lot more gameplay, and it looks fun. This looks like a fun action game. So I'll be into trying this out whenever it comes out. I think the look is really unique and fun, but we don't know much more. It's coming out next month. Moving on, Wu-Tang Rise of the Deceiver. This caught us all by surprise, I think. Where Ghostface Killa is here to ask us to save the Wu-Tang Clan.
What? Wait, what? Huh?
I'm sorry, Alex. Are you confused? That your job now is to save the Wu-Tang Clan, okay?
Come on, keep up, Alex. Come on.
I am always down for these wacky game ideas, especially because this reminds me of Def Jam Fight for New York, which was an amazing game that also featured the Wu-Tang Clan. So
naming icon Wu-Tang Clan.
presented by Ghostface Killa. Funny trailer to me. I do think it's probably going to be pretty fun because it looks really interesting when they showed the gameplay. Guild Wars showed off some new stuff. Cool. I'm into Guild Wars. We don't need to look at it here. Cyberpunk showed off the Switch 2 version. Cool. We know what it looks like. We don't need to play it here. Into the Unwell, another one of the games that I think immediately grabbed me. This sad little cat creature. Getting thrown into a well. I think this looks cool.
Falling in his own vomit.
Yes, and paying for his beer with a tooth. I think this looks very, very cute. If cute's the right word for a like drunk addict cat. But
you know what this kind of reminds me of? If like a slightly darker take on like a Double Fine platformer.
Yeah, maybe mixed with a little bit of Cuphead in there with the
that's also the vibe that I was getting.
Yeah, I don't know. I think this looks really fun, so I'm very much into it. All right, moving on. Splitgate 2. I'm only gonna bring this up just because this trailer was weird. This announcement was weird. Strange vibe at the show for this one, and I've slowly become less excited for Splitgate 2 the more I hear about it, especially because they're really focusing on like the battle royale mode. Which to me isn't that interesting. I did like the large-scale battle mode that they had, but the actual like battle royale stuff was not particularly compelling to me.
The way this was all presented, I think, made it
also
much worse.
Yeah, there was a weird preamble.
I don't want to personally insult this guy. I don't know him in person, but you come on stage with a "Make FPS Great Again" hat and this stupid Nerf-looking baseball bat.
I get the baseball bat because it's the Splitgate bat, but
the way he's waving it around was just.
Well, he just like held it at his feet. The vibe was off, is what we're saying. The vibe was off. It set us up weirdly. In Splitgate 2, I think from the betas that I've played, I've enjoyed it just a little bit less than Splitgate 1. Particularly the map design to me has felt a little bit not as fun.
For the regular modes, yeah, it really feels like it's afraid to lean into its.
All right, let's move on because I want to talk about Stranger Than Heaven. This is what was Project Century, and the crazy thing about this trailer is they revealed to us that there's two timelines for this game. There is the 1914, I believe, timeline that they showed, or 13 timeline they showed in the first trailer, and this one's set in 1943. So we're in both World Wars, is the times that these are set. And I assume, I don't know if we're playing the same character, because this guy looks older, so he could be the same guy 30 years later. But I don't know. I'm super interested in what this game actually is. I love seeing Sotenbori and like this old style. Yeah, I think there's a lot of confidence in this project, just based off of what they've been showing here. It also seems like there's a lot of choices you get to make.
Plus, it seems very similar in some ways to the older Yakuza games, which I think is good for people who maybe felt kind of left in the dust with the newer Yakuza games, just because those went turn-based.
It's also going to be a great place to jump in to Ryuga Gotoku Studios games. It's not linked to Yakuza, presumably. Yeah, I'm very interested in this, especially because it seems like they're doing a bit of a Blue Eye Samurai thing here with the Blue Eye protagonist. So, very into whatever that is. And the big reveal at the end of the show we got the new Resident Evil, which I think is very exciting. The look of this looks crazy.
And it was very cute. They had a little thing before where they're like, "Oh, it's like a big
They teased
it's like
us.
a big anniversary for Resident Evil, but we don't have anything to show yet. But it'll show up in the blink of an eye." And then like 3 trailers.
And why they
later,
were
they
like,
showed
this
us
felt so
this.
weird. Why are they doing this now? And it turns out they were just waiting for the end of the show, which then it turns into cute.
Very cute. That was cool. It was
And yeah,
very cool.
I don't know. I've been really enjoying playing the remakes of the older Resident Evil games, so I'm super excited to jump into a new
I've
one.
been hearing good things about Village. I've been meaning to
Yeah,
check
I haven't
out
played Village yet, so I mean to check it out. But yeah, this looks fascinating, especially because it's like a destroyed version of the Raccoon City Police Station being here.
Have
I'm
they
just
said
so
whether this is,
interested.
like, related to biohazard? What was it? It was a Village, and what was the one before that? Was it just called Biohazard, or it was like Resident Evil
7.
7? Yeah, I wonder if these are connected at all.
I'd
I
assume
don't know
so.
if they're
Resident Evils are all kind of connected.
Yeah, that's
Though
true.
they usually are able to play them without having played the prior ones and it not being that big of a deal. After that, there was a bunch of Day of the Devs stuff. There's a few specific games I want to call out from Day of the Devs. We saw some more
Ooh.
Escape Academy, which is a very fun game
Oh,
with tons of puzzles.
yeah.
It's themed after escape rooms. I think if you're into puzzle stuff, Escape Academy is super worth checking out. It's very fun.
I was having a lot of fun with the wait. Hang on,
Yep.
no, I'm full of crap. I have only played the first hour of Escape Academy on Game Pass, and I have not gotten back to it yet, and I really want to.
Well, hey, second one's coming out. Find the next
Ryan,
one.
can I-
Possessors.
Oh yeah.
Looks very cool.
And then can we also briefly show, because I haven't seen it yet, Moonlighter 2.
Yes,
Gameplay.
we saw some
I
gameplay for
really-
Moonlighter 2,
'Cause I really like the first Moonlighter a lot.
which looks super different, but I think way better. Like I think this
It looks really,
style
really nice.
looks
I mean-
super good.
I mean, I thought the animation for their pixel art in the first game was like really smooth, but I like this as well. It's
Yeah, I
very
like this more just because I think the
polished.
animation in the first game was great, but the combat always felt a little clunky to me in Moonlighter 1.
That's fair. That's fair.
And this looks way smoother. I think just like the 360-degree dodge and whatnot would just make that feel better to begin with.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is very interesting. I'm excited to play this. I always love the shop sim RPGs.
I hope they can go a little bit more in depth with the shop sim stuff this time around, because it was always a little basic in the first game.
Yeah. Pulling up another thing we were looking at, Neverway looked really interesting. This is the like anti-cozy game kind of that had a bunch of combat stuff. And is almost a little Eldritch horror-y. I like that a lot. I think it's fun to kind of take this very different approach to the cozy Stardew Valley design and kind of make it a little dark. I think this will be a really fun time. So I'm excited to give that a try. The other one that really stood out to me was Relooted. I think looked really interesting. This is a heist game themed around reclaiming artifacts that belong to Africa that are in Western museums, which I think is super cool concept. You're going to be running through this whole like heist plan. They have this cool 3-stage process where you go through and you like scan everything, and then you can plan your route and test out paths, and then you actually do the thing like you would do in a heist movie, which I think is a really fun setup for this, and it just seems like a really cool idea.
Looks like a reverse Indiana Jones in a way.
And it seems super smooth. Like all the gameplay looks really, really good. So I'm excited to give it a try when it comes off. All right, moving on to our Cozy Direct and Xbox Games Showcase. I wanted to show from the Wholesome Direct, Let's Build a Dungeon. This is from the Let's Build a Zoo team, which is a really fun pixel art zoo building game that is really wacky. There's just a bunch of crazy things you can do. This is essentially like a cozy MMO creation tycoon game where you sort of create dungeons for a MMO that you build, and it's got like a whole it's got this whole like fake game studio thing where you hire people to build your fake game and can create characters and stuff. This looks really fun to me. I think this is absolutely going to be really cool, and you can just kind of plop things down and like build areas and then see this sort of simulated MMO running as you're kind of building it, which I think is really fun. And there's like roguelite perks, but they're like DLC development for the game. So there's one that was like horse armor. And you can like put horse armor in the game. I think it's just hilarious. This looks like a really fun, cute time. So it's also co-op, and you can build your dungeon together.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that looked to me just like a good time. Another fun one that I saw was Big Hops. I think this speaks for itself. It's a frog-based platformer where your tongue is the main movement mechanism.
I love that.
I think this is just super cute and looks really fun. So some fun stuff in the Cozy Direct to show off. We also saw some more Tales of the Shire, which I think looks dramatically better in this showing than it has in any other showing of the game. I think it looks way more fun and just a much better art style in this showcase than the first one that we had. All right. Moving on to our Xbox showcase, we had
overall, I think this was the strongest showcase that we watched. Just so like consistent, no nonsense, like bam, bam.
Yes.
Bam.
And we didn't talk about it for SGF, but I think SGF, the Summer Game Fest presentation itself, just suffered from the Jeff Keighleyism of it being really long. And a little bit filled with talking that didn't need to be there, whereas the Xbox showcase was just hit to hit. Same like the State of Play was also just hit to hit, which I think was really great. They kicked it off with Outer Worlds 2, which looks like it's shaping up really well. I'm excited to try this.
Oh yeah.
Especially after that direct that they had for this right after. There's so many cool little details and
I love the flaws.
RPG. The flaws were so cool. Yeah.
Tons of cool details going into Outer Worlds 2. Then the college shot from Mewtwo was High on Life 2.
As soon as I saw the alien designs, I'm like, that's High on Life.
It looks really fun, and I'm glad they're getting away from just the toilet.
Based looked really fun.
Yeah, there's a bunch of like skating, which seems fun. There's even more crazy weapons that talk to you. There was a bow they show at one point.
Here's the thing about the first game, right? Like, you remove the Justin Roiland of everything, right? Which, controversial guy now. His humor, love it or hate it, whatever. It's a fun game, just removed from all of that. So I'm excited to see what a High on Life sequel looks like with less of Justin Roiland's involvement.
Yeah, totally. Then we saw Resonance, which we were all trying to figure out what this was, and we're super off base in that it was actually a Plague Tale.
Yeah. Well, because you would
thought it was Wonder Woman for a second, but we were like, wait, that game was canceled. The glowing line looked like the lasso of truth.
Yeah. Listen, not a bad guess. Throwing that out there.
Aside from the fact that we knew the game was canceled already, yeah, not a bad guess. But
shut up.
This does look very cool. I'm into whatever they're doing here. It seems like we're moving away from the rat gameplay.
Almost looks like we're moving away from the stealth in a way. This
seems like there's full-on combat here. I don't think we actually see any real gameplay in this showcase, but it looks cool. And the Plague Tale team has not missed yet. So, very exciting. Next big exciting thing, the Xbox and ROG handheld has been announced. The ROG Xbox Ally X. Perfectly gamer title.
Mouthful.
ROG Allies are really cool hardware, so I think this is going to be a really good grab for anyone looking who's had like a Steam Deck for ages and wants something that's a little bit more powerful. This will probably be a good go-to. Because especially the X version, I believe it's the X version, it's the version with Z2 Extreme chip in it, is substantially more powerful than the stuff the Steam Deck has inside of it, so I imagine it's going to be able to play a lot of games that it couldn't play, especially because this is an Xbox handheld, so it's going to have Windows natively, so you can play all your Windows stuff that won't run on your Steam OS thing. And yeah, I think these handhelds are great.
Available for other handhelds now, so
so if you want to, presumably you could put Bazite on this and run SteamOS on it if you wanted to. So I'm very into this. I think this is a very cool thing to have announced. I believe they said it's launching holiday, so we're waiting for more info on pricing and whatnot. But they got some very good specs here that I think are going to make for some pretty powerful handhelds. All right, moving on. Blood of the Dawnwalker. This is a game we saw a lot more, or heard a lot more about in the deep dive earlier this year that they did specifically for it, but it's a vampire-style RPG where you're playing a Dawnwalker hunting other vampires, trying to save your people, which I think seems very cool. It's kind of giving a little bit of the Witcher vibes, as Alex mentioned, with the setting. Yeah, I'm very interested.
Get me that fix before 4 comes out.
Definitely wanting to see more solid gameplay that isn't cut up like this.
Yes,
but, I'm liking what I see so far.
I especially like it if I can just walk on the walls of any building. I think that's a really cool.
Listen, if I can Adam West Batman my way up buildings, that's gonna be pretty sweet.
Super Meat Boy 3D.
Wow.
And we got a little bit trolled with the green pipe.
Wild. Yeah.
But otherwise, I think this is a really fun thing to have seen too.
Gorgeous.
Look at that Tuckus.
Look, Super Meat Boy, classic story.
Absolutely demolished.
Classic story.
Classic story. I'm very excited to rescue Bandage Girl as Super Meat Boy from Dr. Fetus once again.
I love the idea that the original was originally an XBLA like indie title, and so I like that now it's day one on Game Pass, almost like tradition in a way, which is fun.
Yeah, this looks really fun. I love that they kept the thing where all your dead bodies keep running with you, and you see them dismembered as you're retrying the level. That's very, very fun in 3D. So I'm looking forward to playing this. Moving on, Ninja Gaiden 4. We've seen a bunch of Ninja Gaiden 4. This one showed off a big drill spear quite a lot, and I like a big drill spear and a jet hammer.
Who doesn't love a good drill spear? Come on now.
I think this looks very fun. Platinum has been on a hit or miss streak lately, but luckily they're teaming up with Team Ninja on this one. So I think, or Ninja Theory, whichever studio it is, I get the two of them mixed up all the time.
For a lot of people, that's like a match made in heaven in a lot of ways.
It could be completely excellent, and this all looked very good. Like these crazy bosses. I'm excited to play this. I'm looking forward to my Ninja Gaiden fix. That said, I enjoyed the other Ninja Gaidens, which you two are maybe thinking I'm a little insane for. So moving on.
I could appreciate 1 and 2.
I think you're insane.
Absolutely not. We have a DLC announcement for Indiana Jones, The Order of Giants. Seems very cool. I still need to finish Indiana Jones.
Same.
Very high on my list, though. After that, we got a reveal of Beast of Reincarnation, which is crazy because it's Game Freak.
Yeah.
Game Freak, dude.
What? They are never going to make Pokemon better. All of their
all of their power went into Beast of Reincarnation.
Every ounce of creativity will go into any game other than Pokemon.
I could be missing something, but any non-Pokemon Game Freak project, at least recently, has not been great.
But they've all felt like dramatically low budget. This at least does not look low budget. Like this looks like they're putting their development brunt behind it.
Although classic Game Freak, the frame rate is not great, at least in this presentation.
Yeah, that could just be the video, but it certainly doesn't look that great. But yeah, this is fascinating to me that this is a Game Freak game. I'm just really interested in what this is actually going to play like.
Never guess, genuinely.
At no point would you have shown me a screenshot of any of this trailer, and I would have gone, "That's Game Freak."
I mean, I'm happy. Like, imagine working on Pokemon for that long. And, like, sure, there's other stuff going on, but it's all side projects that aren't, received great. Like, working on Pokemon for that long must, like, fuck with your brain in some way. So I'm happy that they get to do something completely different.
Yeah, I mean, nobody can say that isn't completely different. Moving on, Clockwork Revolution. This second trailer still looks very good. This gives us way more information about the game.
This looks great.
Character creation.
This looks great.
Yeah, the setup here looks fascinating. Voice protagonist, cool. The look of this game is so fascinating to me. I love it. The way that the gun customization looks, where you have like blueprints overlaid onto the 3D model.
That is
so cool. I absolutely love the aesthetic of this. And then all the time stuff, which seems straight out of Bioshock Infinite, the
Well, that
dimension
in the
thing.
setting, it's like they're almost not hiding their inspiration. I'm not even saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying,
Yeah,
Ugh.
I'm super interested in this. I think this absolutely looks like it's going to be a good time. Okay, after that, we got an announcement of Grounded 2, which nobody had predicted going into the show. Seems really fun.
Which is the third, yes, count it, third game release from Obsidian this year, which is
Wild.
I don't understand how.
Please don't kill yourselves, devs. Please take a break.
That's wild, man. That's insane.
This looks really fun, though. They showed a bunch of stuff like you can ride your bugs now, which seems very cool. There's this whole, like, buggies, as they were talking about in the direct, is your bug buddies that you can ride and fight with, which is very cool, and they help you base build and all that. So that's fascinating to me. It's set in a park, so you have a lot more space to explore. I think they said it's about 3 times as big as
Well, yeah, they
the
said like
Grounded one.
the opening area of the game is as big as the first game. Like
Yeah,
its
just
entire
super
numbers.
cool.
Crazy.
Really excited for that. I think Grounded 1 was really fun, so excited to try a new thing. Chronos, The New Dawn. This is a survival horror game. Seems
Bloober
fun.
Team.
I like
Yeah.
survival horror. Bloober Team, normally I would say I could take or leave, but Silent Hill 2 Remake was really good. So I'm hopeful that this is also really good, because I love me some sci-fi horror. And I love the monster designs here, too. They're a little bit still kind of gamey, which I think helps
They
them
are
not be...
scrungly.
They're
It
scrungly.
seems like my brand of horror game, which is more like action horror,
Yes.
which I'm very excited for.
Definitely seems a little bit more on the action horror side. We saw some more Elder Scrolls Online stuff. Looks cool. I've been playing a lot of Elder Scrolls Online recently and having a good time. Great
They're doing like
game
a
to
big
play on your Steam
server
Deck.
event, which is pretty interesting. Interested to
Yes.
see how that kind of turns out.
We saw a new game by Don't Nod, which is a little crazy because it's sci-fi, which they haven't really touched. It's called
And
Aphelion.
also in oh god, what does the European Space Agency have to do with this? Are they funding it? Is it in like
It might be a
cooperation with
collaboration of
collaboration?
oh, this is what this tech would do and operate like. I'm
Yeah, in
assuming
X years. Yeah,
listen,
fascinating.
if we get a sci-fi oh my god, Banishers, that would be pretty cool. I'd be very, very into that because I liked Banishers quite a bit.
Yeah. Looks really good. All right, moving on. No Ghost of the Grand. This was probably my game of the show for the Xbox Showcase just because of how weird it was.
It was insane.
It started out as just being this odd little musical
Oh,
game
yeah.
about having a hotel, and then it expanded and kept expanding in a way that is truly insane, where you have like power tool guns that help you renovate places, but then it gets a little bit eldritch horror-y, and yeah, I'm absolutely fascinated in what this game is. This is coming next year, and I'm super interested. It's like seems really, really cool. I love the talking cat, weird musical vibe.
Yeah.
Absolutely fascinating as to whatever this is. It seems like there's
It's like a
sailing and stuff
descent into
too. Like it
someone's-
kept going.
it was like a descent into someone's crazy nightmare.
Yeah.
Like in the best way possible. It's fascinating, genuinely.
Really interesting. So I'm excited to see what comes of that. Age of Mythology is getting a Heavenly Spear DLC. Very cool. Asian themed, but I don't think any of us are Age of Mythology players, so
Nope.
we'll not get too far into that. We saw Mudang Two Hearts, which is something. Not super clear from the trailer as to what it is. The aesthetic is cool. Seems like a multi-character action game of some type. Could be great.
Potentially co-op, maybe?
A little bit more to go off of on this one, I think, but I like the look of it. All right, moving on. Planet of Lana 2. Absolutely breathtaking for the look.
Might be
The
some of my
sci-fi stuff in
favorite-
this is really fun.
because
Quite
we've
pretty.
seen a lot of like robotics and androids and stuff today. This might be my favorite look when it
What
comes
if I
to
do
all
with
of
her?
the
There's like the
sci-fi robots.
spider bots that look really, really cool.
Yeah. I never finished the first one. It's really really charming and well made for what it is.
Yeah, I think I
do
was
like
excited to
the
play the first one and totally just missed it releasing. Um, yeah, this looks great. Excited to play it. There's fishing in Fallout 76. How fun!
this shambling corpse has kept on going somehow.
Look,
It's,
survival games have a lifespan on them, and there's a dedicated audience for Fallout 76. It's
I
not my choice of survival game, but
I always give Bethesda credit. They never gave up. And you know what? That's something. I gotta commend them for their dedication to this thing.
all right. Well, we saw a solo leveling game shown. I don't think any of us are solo leveling fans. The action
Nope.
looks really smooth. That's about as much as I can say for this, not knowing the property, but seems neat. We saw Animo, which this is fascinating because it's like it seems like a creature collecting game where you play as the creature, which is very cool. But I always get worried with like this look and everything that this is going to be a gacha game. And I don't know. I haven't seen any confirmation either way. So
It's got that vibe though, doesn't it?
it's got the look that sets me just a little bit off kilter as to what it is.
See, the starfish butt was center screen.
You're right about it. This does, I think, look very fun to play, though. I like the idea of just playing as these little creatures and running around. But I think I need more to go on. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4. I cannot wait. I love the 1 and 2 collection. It's gonna be a great time. I feel
And
like this is
like
great.
I said while we were watching this, I appreciate how like it's got Tony Hawk's name all over it, but he genuinely seems like he has a real love
Dude,
for
he
these
cares so
games.
much
And
about these video games.
no, and it's not like an ego thing. Like he just seems genuinely passionate about it, and that's cool. I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah. Especially cool because they showed a lot of the levels in this one, and 3 and 4 had excellent levels. In this really, really fun pinball stage at the end, they showed off. Looks great.
Oh yeah.
They showed
They
off
had
the start.
a they
Yeah.
had a Teenage
They're
Mutant
in like
Ninja
a
Turtle
pinball
crossover.
table. It's so fun.
They had a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle crossover, which we were like, oh, that actually makes sense. And then fucking Doom guy showed up, and I'm like, nope, you lost me.
All right. After that was all At Fate's End, which is Thunder Lotus's new game. People behind Spiritfarer.
Oh god, so cool.
The aesthetic of this is immaculate.
This is
The
a
actual
close
gameplay
second
looks
for,
really
like,
cool
during
too.
fights.
This is a close second for me in terms of like aesthetic of show. It
I'm just
looks-
really interested in what this gameplay is because I think it looks really cool. Where you're like putting cards down to, I think, build a picture of what's going on. It's fascinating, and like everyone seems to have a sword that they pull out of their body somehow. Fascinating.
Spine or throat, take your
It seems
pick.
almost there's like a card collection battle system or something, which is fascinating.
Yeah. It almost reminds me of the game by Supergiant that they did, Transistor. How you have like the cards and
absolutely.
the action setup gives me that sort of feeling, and I love that combat system. So that might be super fun. Like that dialogue decision mid combat, very cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely fascinating. Can't wait. Gears of War Reloaded. This is I guess either just the first game or a collection. I didn't actually
Yeah,
pay
they weren't
attention.
really clear, which I thought was kind of strange.
Maybe just the first game. Because I think most of the others are available to play on a lot of stuff, but the first game in particular is not readily available. And this is a collection on PC and PS5. And game, Xbox. All the stuff that Xbox normally releases on. Which is very exciting. It'd be fun for people to get a chance to play this, because I've never been able to play the first few Gears of Wars, and would be very interested before hopping into the newer ones. What I absolutely lost my mind over, Persona 4 Revival. Can't wait. Persona 4 is my favorite Persona game. I absolutely love everything about it, so I'm super excited to play a remake of it, even though the game, I think, it still has aged very well. You can tell it was designed around a PSP. So I'll be excited to play a version of this game that is designed around modern hardware. All right. Sea of Thieves stuff. You got any Sea of Thieves thoughts, Wyatt?
I mean, I haven't played in a while. I know they had a big update where they introduced a bunch of new gear and stuff like that, and it went so horribly that they had to remove everything and then put it back into the game slowly over time. But I from what I understand, they've ironed a lot of that stuff out. Looks cool. It seems like another way to reputation grind, which is always appreciated. New mission type always appreciated. Yeah,
All right.
seems cool.
We're going to do Invincible Versus. This looks fun. I do want this game had me so excited almost for an Invincible free roam game. I was like expecting an Invincible adventure game like the classic Superman games would have been super fun. This is just a fighting game, which I'm sure is also going to be really fun. I think for me, the thing that took a little bit of the wind out of the sails for this is just Marvel Tokon being revealed yesterday. Got me.
And also, I like, and it's not like we're only getting superhero fighting games or superhero like hero shooters and stuff, but I feel like the types of superhero games we've been getting, like,
It's
is
been
more
so
limited.
long since we had a Batman game, dude. I'm like itching in my seat for one. Just a superhero game of any
Or
kind.
even like a what was that, like, beat 'em up, that like co-op beat 'em up, the like top down one,
Oh, Ultimate Alliance.
something like that. Just spice up the like competitive stuff that it seems like we're getting right now. Would be
Yeah.
nice. Which is why I'm looking forward to Cosmic Invasion. It seems like a break from that kind of
So it
stuff.
reminded me that I would definitely want to try Ultimate Alliance 3 on the Switch 2. Because that game had huge performance problems on Switch 1. That'll probably be super fun on Switch 2. We saw the Final Fantasies are being put onto Xbox 16 as of today, which is very cool.
It's pretty cool.
But game we all know about already. Keeper, not a game we all knew about already, and looks fascinating. This is absolutely crazy. Where you play as the lighthouse.
Yeah.
I love Double Fine.
Wild.
Yeah.
So out there as a concept.
They have put so much personality into this sentient lighthouse. It's kind of incredible, actually.
He has sass with the bird on top of him.
The bird putting the life preserver in its place. Yeah, I
little
love the look of this.
Customization is the bird decorating the lighthouse.
I am interested. We're seeing a lot of walking around. Is there like some sort of traversal, or is it like puzzles?
It seems like you're controlling both the bird and the lighthouse, and you're doing things that involve switching between them, or something.
Just probably
moving the light around.
Puzzle platformy type, perhaps.
You got some hops, it looks like. Yeah, I'm excited to try this out because I think no matter what, this game, you cannot blame the aesthetic of this for being normal. I think this looks absolutely amazing.
Beautiful.
All right. Finally, we've got Call of Duty Black Ops 7. We don't know what the game looks like in terms of gameplay, but it's Black Ops. It'll probably be as you would expect from Black Ops, I imagine. Although this definitely looks a little bit more far future than Call of Duty recently has been. So that's exciting.
Well, and the reason I knew what this was before they showed Menendez was like the robot design. I was like, that looks like the robots from like Infinite Warfare.
Dude,
or like
for a brief second, I thought it was Titanfall. I was gonna lose my mind.
I know. But I will say this: we just got another Black Ops game, right? Like that was the most recent one.
Yeah.
This year is another Black Ops one, which makes me a little worried because we had Modern Warfare 2 and then Modern Warfare 3, which was a bit of a disaster. So we're getting
Wyatt and I had a lot of fun playing Black Ops 6, so I hope that they've had enough time to really go through this one and make what they want, but who knows with the time span, so.
Yeah. It seems like it's going to be picking up a lot of stuff from the older Black Ops games, kind of continuing that story in some way, even though I don't really see anyway, it doesn't matter. We'll see.
All right. Well, that was the Xbox Showcase, which I think we were very excited the whole time. Tons of cool stuff in that showcase.
Very, very consistent. The pacing was really good. Lots of really good announcements. It's probably, like I said, probably just the most consistent, probably the best showcase here overall.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff across the whole time, though. And I actually do want to watch the rest of Day of the Devs and Wholesome Direct, because from the little bits I saw of both, they were really good shows that I'm excited to catch up on. All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's all of our shows to talk about, which means it's time for shout-outs. Alex, you got a shout-out for me.
Key lime cookies.
Perfect. Couldn't ask for more. All right.
Hell yeah.
Wyatt, I don't know if you have a separate shout-out you want to do, but I was going to bring up the one for both of us, which is this fancy little gadget over here called the Switch 2.
Aha.
Which I've been having.
I have something that looks really similar right here.
Oh, yeah, I wonder.
Wow, that's crazy.
I've been having a ton of fun playing it.
Yeah, I almost didn't want to shout this out because I feel like everyone who would watch this podcast already knows that this is out, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's been really, really good so far. Mario Kart has been really, really fun. I think there's a lot to talk about in terms of how Nintendo is just dealing with everything. Being
and I will say, expect our next week's episode to be a Switch 2 focused episode. In terms of talking about all of our experiences with the Switch 2.
The good and the bad, because there's a lot of both to talk about. But I think like hardware wise, nailed it. Like I said, Mario Kart's been a ton of fun.
I've been playing a ton of No Man's Sky, and it runs super well. I've had it.
Yeah.
It runs basically flawlessly, although there's always No Man's Sky just has hitches on every platform when it loads, so that's not like a Switch 2 thing. That's just No Man's Sky. And it still has that when it's loading a new scene or something or a new planet, but it otherwise performs great.
Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild at 60 frames per second.
So good.
It's a dream come true, and I understand that there are legally dubious ways of going about doing that. I
don't have the patience.
I don't have the patience. It's not a route that I want to go down. And there is something to be said for playing a game like that on official hardware.
Yes. I had a ton of fun revisiting. I played some Breath of the Wild Master Mode the other day. That was the first thing I booted up when I got my Switch 2, and it was a lot of fun in 60 FPS. Although it also reminded me how bad I am at Master Mode, and I instead started a new playthrough of normal mode.
Bullshit. So I don't even blame you.
Yeah, I'm also just glad they added second save files, so I didn't need to delete my old save to start a new game. That's very cool.
Carried over, which is nice. The process of getting all my Switch 1 stuff onto my Switch 2 was pretty painless.
Yes,
which is nice.
Took basically no effort on my end either. And Cyberpunk has been really surprising. My two launch games I picked up, aside from Mario Kart, because I got the bundle, were Cyberpunk and Rune Factory, both of which have been running and playing extremely well. Which is, in the case of Cyberpunk, is stunning.
It is funny because I've seen some people be like, well, it's not that impressive because Cyberpunk is like a 4-year-old game. It's like, okay, it is still one of the hardest
Cyberpunk
games
is like
to
the
run
benchmark for graphics.
It doesn't matter how old it is.
It's almost like the Can It Run Crisis at this point, really.
Yeah.
In a way, yeah, absolutely.
And like the fact that it runs with basically no issues. Like I've played a good couple hours of Cyberpunk and I have not run into a single problem. Which, compared to my Switch 1 experience of Switch 1 really became there was a point in time where it's just like, if I get a game on the Switch, is it gonna run without just huge issues? And it was a complete crapshoot. Whereas the Switch 2, it feels like I can confidently pick something up and know it's not gonna just break.
My one hope is that Nintendo will put in the amount of effort that Valve has put into the Steam Deck when it comes to backwards compatibility and unlocking frame rates for a lot of games.
I really want a patch for like Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 and 60 FPS would be so much fun.
I would love to try out things like Astral Chain at 60 frames.
Yes.
I know a lot of people still enjoyed it even if it's locked at 30, but like Astral Chain at 60 seems like it would be
such a fun time.
Blast. Yeah, absolutely. I don't have a lot of faith that Nintendo's going to put in that kind of effort, but
oh god, no.
It's also we're not certain if it's Nintendo that does the effort or if it's the dev studio, because I think it's the studio.
Well, because the way they do backwards compatibility is kind of funky, right? It's a mix of hardware and software emulation, so it's kind of unclear as to who has to kind of who has the ball in their court in that scenario. I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
But I hope just as much as Nintendo, the devs for their older games on Switch put in the kind of effort that like Hello Games has for No Man's Sky, for instance. But we'll
Yeah,
see.
I
I
agree.
guess we'll see.
All right. Well, that's our shout out for Switch 2, unless you have a separate one you also want to do what?
Not really. Other than shout out to 4-player Mario Kart being a fucking
And
just
also, shout
absolutely
out to
hectic and
Nintendo's
incredible.
online for Mario Kart working without that much of a hassle.
I was
Um,
shocked.
we had to
Shocked.
use friend codes, but otherwise it was very easy to get into a game together, which is very cool.
And again, this is just more Switch related. And shout out to Nintendo for allowing us to use old Joy-Cons and Pro controllers
Yes.
and all that stuff. It
Oh.
was really, really nice to play that game 4 players, where I was using my old Pro controller, and I think everyone else was either using old Joy-Cons or like the one set of Joy-Con 2s that came with the Switch 2.
Mhm.
That was super, super cool.
All right. Well, that brings us to the end of our show, gushing over the Switch 2 and Summer Game Fest. As always, Tuesdays, podcast platform of your choice, YouTube and Twitch. We'll be back next week with some impressions of the Switch 2 stuff that we've been playing so far, once we have had a little bit more time with it, because we only got ours a couple days ago. So, give us some time.
God, get off my
Lay
ass.
off.
We're doing it. Jesus Christ.
I swear I'll play Yakuza.